The medical chamber glowed with soft blue light that made everything look strange and beautiful. Princess Kalara walked slowly across the smooth floor, her long silver robes trailing behind her. She had come to check on the human visitors who had arrived at the station 3 days ago. The humans were still new to the galaxy, still learning about the thousands of species that lived among the stars. Kalara was curious about them. She had read their files and watched their videos. Humans looked so different from her people. They had only 2 eyes instead of 3. Their skin came in shades of brown and pink instead of the silver and blue of the Xanthari. They were shorter, softer, and they smiled with their teeth showing, but they seemed kind. Their leader, a woman named Catherine Hayes, had brought gifts and stories. She had talked about Earth, the blue and green planet where humans lived. She had shown pictures of vast oceans and tall mountains. Kalara had liked her immediately. Now one of the humans was sick. The medical staff had brought her to this chamber for tests. Her name was Lisa Morgan, and she had collapsed during the tour of the station. The human doctor traveling with them had asked for privacy, but Kalara's father, the Emperor, had ordered full medical scans. He wanted to make sure the station was safe, that the humans carried no diseases that could harm other species. Kalara entered the examination room quietly. Dr. Vex stood at a control panel, studying the holographic displays that floated in the air. He was one of the oldest and wisest doctors in the Empire. His gray skin had deepened with age, and his movements were slow and careful. Lisa Morgan lay on the examination table, unconscious from the sedation they had given her. She looked peaceful, her chest rising and falling with steady breaths. She wore a simple gray medical gown that the staff had provided. Her own clothes lay folded on a nearby chair. Kalara walked closer, looking at the human woman with interest. Lisa had dark hair pulled back in a simple style. Her skin was a warm brown color. She looked strong and healthy, not like someone who should suddenly collapse. Dr. Vex turned when he heard Kalara approach. His expression was strange, something between confusion and concern. He opened his mouth to speak, then closed it again. "What is wrong with her?" Kalara asked. "Can you help her?" Vex hesitated. He pulled up several displays showing images of Lisa's internal structure. Kalara had studied xenobiology, the science of different species and their bodies. She knew how to read these scans. "Everything appears normal," Vex said slowly. "Her vital signs are strong. Her organs function well, but there is something unusual." "Show me," Kalara said. Vex manipulated the controls and the image changed. It showed Lisa's lower torso, the area of her body below her stomach. Kalara leaned closer, studying the scan carefully. Then she saw it. There was something inside the human woman, a small shape clearly visible in the scan. It had its own heartbeat separate from Lisa's. It was growing, developing, connected to her body through complex networks of blood vessels. "What is that?" Kalara whispered. Vex shook his head. "I do not know. At first I thought it was a parasite, something that had invaded her body. But the integration is too complete, too sophisticated. Her body is feeding it, protecting it, nurturing it." Kalara felt a cold sensation spread through her chest. She had never seen anything like this. No species in the galaxy carried other organisms inside their bodies. It was impossible. The immune system would attack any foreign organism. The metabolic drain would kill the host. "We need to remove it," Kalara said, "before it harms her." "Wait," Vex said. "Look at this." He changed the display again. This time he showed a close scan of Lisa's back just above her waist. There was a tattoo there, colored ink permanently marked into her skin. The image showed a detailed drawing of human anatomy, a cross-section of a female body with something growing inside. The tattoo showed exactly what they were seeing in the scan. "She knows," Kalara said, her voice barely audible. "She knows it is there. This is not an accident or an infection. This is deliberate." Vex pulled up more data. "Princess, I have been scanning the other humans in the delegation. 3 of the females show similar internal structures, though not all have the developing organism. One of them, the older female named Margaret Sullivan, shows evidence that this has happened to her multiple times." "Multiple times," Kalara repeated. She felt dizzy. How is that possible? How can any living being survive having something grow inside them? "The human doctor who came with them," Vex said quietly. "I asked her some basic questions about human biology. She was very careful in her answers, very vague about reproduction. She said humans were similar to other mammals we might know, but she did not provide details. They hid this, Kilara said. They knew we would discover it eventually, but they tried to hide it. She stared at Lisa Morgan, at the peaceful expression on the human's face. This woman carried something inside her body, something that was growing and developing, and she had decorated her skin with art celebrating this fact. The tattoo was beautiful, detailed, clearly important to her. What are humans? Kilara whispered. Dr. Vex had no answer. He continued studying the scans, measuring the developing organism, tracking its growth rate and integration with Lisa's body. Every measurement confirmed what seemed impossible. Humans reproduced internally. They grew their offspring inside their own bodies. Kilara felt fear rise in her throat. She had welcomed these humans to the station. She had shared food with them, laughed at their jokes, listened to their stories, and all the time they had hidden this fundamental truth about themselves. Why would they hide it unless they knew how others would react? I need to contact my father, Kilara said. She activated her neural communicator, the device implanted behind her ear that allowed her to speak directly to other Xanthari across vast distances. The connection opened, and she felt her father's presence in her mind. Emperor Zarathus was in a meeting with Catherine Hayes discussing trade agreements and cultural exchange. Father, Kilara said, forcing her voice to remain steady. We have a situation with the human delegation. Speak, her father replied. What have you found? Kilara looked at the scan, at the small organism growing inside Lisa Morgan. She looked at the tattoo celebrating this biological impossibility. She thought about Catherine Hayes sitting with her father, smiling and talking about friendship between their peoples. Do not sign any agreements, Kilara said. Do not allow any humans to leave this station. I need you to trust me completely right now. There was a long silence. Then her father's voice came back, sharp and commanding. What have you discovered? Kilara took a deep breath. They reproduce internally. They carry their offspring inside their bodies. Father, they grow their young within their own flesh. The connection went silent. Kilara knew her father was processing what she had said, understanding the implications. Through their bond, she felt his shock ripple across the distance between them. Everything stopped in that moment. The gentle hum of the medical equipment continued. Lisa Morgan breathed steadily on the table. Dr. Vex studied his displays with growing concern, but Kilara knew that nothing would be the same. The humans had brought more than trade goods and cultural stories to the station. They had brought a secret that would change everything, and now that secret was revealed. Emperor Zarathus sat in the Grand Council chamber with Catherine Hayes across from him. They had been discussing mining rights and technology sharing. The human leader had impressed him with her intelligence and wit. She understood complex negotiations and spoke with careful diplomacy. Then Kilara's message reached his mind. The words echoed in his consciousness, impossible and horrifying. Humans carried their offspring inside their bodies. They grew their young within their own flesh. The Emperor's 3 hands gripped the arms of his chair. His silver skin paled to almost white. Catherine noticed the change immediately. Her smile faded and concern filled her eyes. Is everything all right? She asked. Zarathus looked at her, this human who had sat with him for hours, sharing stories and building trust. Had she known he would eventually discover the truth? Had she planned to leave before anyone found out? This meeting is concluded, Zarathus said, his voice cold and formal. You and your delegation will remain on the station until further notice. Catherine stood slowly, her body tense. What has happened? Is someone hurt? Return to your quarters, Zarathus commanded. Guards will escort you. 2 Xanthari guards entered the chamber, their silver armor gleaming. Catherine looked at them, then back at the Emperor. She said nothing more, but Zarathus saw understanding dawn in her eyes. She knew. Somehow she knew they had discovered her secret. The guards led Catherine away. Zarathus activated the station-wide communication system and spoke directly to the security chief. Contain the human ship. No communications in or out. No one leaves the station. Then he rose and walked quickly toward the medical chambers. His advisors tried to follow, asking questions, demanding explanations. He ignored them all. He needed to see this for himself. Kilara met him at the entrance to the medical bay. His daughter looked shaken, her silver eyes wide with barely controlled fear. She had always been curious about other species. always eager to learn about different ways of life, but this had clearly pushed beyond her comfort. "Show me," Zarathis said simply. They entered the examination room together. Dr. Vex bowed respectfully, then gestured to the displays. Zarathis studied the scans of Lisa Morgan's body. He saw the small organism growing inside her. He saw how it was connected to her, feeding from her, protected by her body. "This should not be possible," Zarathis said. "Yet it is," Vex replied, "and according to my scans, this is normal for humans. Natural. They are designed for this." Zarathis looked at the tattoo on Lisa's back. The human had chosen to mark her body with this image. It was not hidden or shameful to her. It was celebrated, displayed with pride. "How many of them?" he asked. "Of the 12 humans in the delegation, 4 females show capability for this process," Vex reported. "One currently carries a developing organism, as you see here. The older female has done this at least 4 times previously." 4 times, Zarathis repeated. She survived this 4 times. The implications were staggering. This was not a rare mutation or medical condition. This was how humans reproduced. Every human in the galaxy had begun existence inside another human's body. They had grown there, fed there, lived there for months before emerging into the world. What kind of species could do this? What kind of evolutionary pressure would create such a bizarre reproductive strategy? More importantly, what else had the humans hidden? "I want complete biological scans of all the humans," Zarathis ordered. "Everything. I want to understand exactly what they are." Vex hesitated. "That would require their cooperation. They would know we are investigating them." "They already know," Kalara said quietly. "Catherine Hayes knew the moment you changed your behavior, Father. She is intelligent. She understands what we have discovered." Zarathis paced the room, his mind racing through possibilities and problems. The galaxy had tens of thousands of intelligent species. They had encountered bizarre biology before. But nothing like this. Nothing that so fundamentally challenged the understanding of how reproduction worked. The Zenthari laid eggs, as did most species. The eggs incubated in carefully controlled environments until the young hatched, already partially developed and capable of basic function. Some species budded, growing new individuals from their own tissue. A few rare species used binary fusion, combining genetic material in complex chemical processes. But internal gestation, carrying a developing organism inside the body, letting it grow there, feeding it from your own blood. The metabolic cost alone should be impossible. The immune system complications should be fatal. Yet humans did it. And they survived. "Contact the Galactic Medical Council," Zarathis said. "I need xenobiologists, reproductive specialists, anyone who might have knowledge about this type of biology." "Father," Kalara said softly, "before we do that, perhaps we should speak with the humans. Let them explain. Explain why they lied to us," Zarathis said sharply. "They did not lie," Kalara replied. "They simply did not volunteer information they knew would disturb us." "Can you blame them? Look at our reaction." Zarathis stopped pacing. He looked at his daughter, seeing wisdom beyond her years. She was right, of course. The humans had been careful, diplomatic, trying to build relationships before revealing difficult truths. But the truth was out now, and decisions had to be made. "How many species know about human reproduction?" Zarathis asked. "According to the human cultural database they provided," Vex said. "They have had contact with 17 other species. They have trade agreements with 5 of them. But I noticed the biological data they shared is very limited, very vague. So others might not know either," Kalara said. "We might be among the first to discover this." "That gives us a choice," Zarathis said slowly. "We can report this to the Galactic Council immediately. Or we can speak with the humans first. Understand their perspective." "What do you want to do?" Kalara asked. Zarathis looked at Lisa Morgan, unconscious and vulnerable on the examination table. He thought about Catherine Hayes, sitting in her quarters wondering if her mission had failed. He thought about Earth, a planet full of beings who carried their children inside their bodies and somehow made it work. "Bring Catherine Hayes to me," he said. "Not as a prisoner, as a guest. I want to hear her explanation. I want to understand why humans evolved this way and what it means for their integration into galactic society. And if her explanation is not satisfactory," Kalara asked. "Then we will deal with that when it comes," Zarathis replied. But first, we give them a chance to speak their truth. Dr. Vex returned to his scans while Kalara sent word to Catherine. Zarathus stood alone in the medical chamber, watching the small organism develop inside Lisa Morgan. It had a heartbeat. It had growing limbs. It was becoming a person, sheltered inside another person's body. The more he thought about it, the more questions arose. How did the human body prevent its immune system from attacking the developing child? How did it manage the metabolic demands? How did it know when the child was ready to emerge? And the most troubling question of all, if humans could do this, what other biological capabilities had they hidden? The door opened and Catherine Hayes entered, flanked by guards. She walked with dignity despite her obvious concern. She looked at Lisa on the table, at the displays showing the scans, at the Emperor's grave expression. "You know," she said simply. "We know," Zarathus confirmed, "and now you will explain everything." Catherine Hayes stood in the medical chamber, her hands clasped in front of her. She looked calm on the surface, but Kalara could see the tension in her shoulders, the careful control of her breathing. This was a woman preparing for a difficult conversation. "Please sit," Zarathus said, gesturing to a chair. The guard stepped back but remained in the room. Catherine sat slowly, her eyes moving between the Emperor, the Princess, and the unconscious form of Lisa Morgan. She took a deep breath before speaking. "How much do you understand?" she asked. "We understand that humans carry their offspring inside their bodies," Zarathus said. "We understand this is normal for your species. What we do not understand is why you hid this from us." Catherine nodded slowly as if she had expected this question. "Because 47 first contact situations ended badly when other species learned about human reproduction." She paused, letting the number sink in. 47 out of 62 total first contacts resulted in immediate conflict, quarantine, or complete rejection. Kalara felt shock ripple through her. That was most of humanity's encounters with other species. Nearly every time humans revealed the truth about themselves, they were turned away. "What kind of conflict?" Zarathus asked quietly. Catherine's expression hardened with old pain. 23 species immediately quarantined Earth. They declared humans a biological hazard and refused all contact. 12 species responded with military threats. They said we were parasitic organisms, dangerous to civilized life. We had to evacuate our embassies under armed escort. "And the others?" Kalara asked. 5 species tried to study us like laboratory animals, Catherine said. They wanted to understand how we survived internal gestation. They proposed taking human females for extended research. We refused and they became hostile. The remaining 7 simply disappeared. They stopped answering our communications and pretended we did not exist. Silence filled the chamber. Zarathus felt his earlier anger fade, replaced by something more complex. The humans had not hidden their biology out of malice or deception. They had hidden it out of desperate self-preservation. "So you decided to lie," Zarathus said, but his voice was gentler now. "We decided to build relationships first," Catherine corrected, "to let other species know us as people, as individuals with thoughts and dreams and families, to show that we are not monsters or parasites, and then when trust was established, to carefully explain our biology." But Lisa collapsed, Kalara said. "Before you could explain." Catherine nodded. "Lisa's 12 weeks along. That means the organism, the baby, has been developing for about 3 months. Her body is working hard to support both herself and the growing child. The stress of travel, of new environments, of the anxiety about this mission, it overwhelmed her system." "Baby," Beck said suddenly. "You call it a baby?" "Yes," Catherine said softly. "Because that is what it is, a developing human child." Lisa's daughter, Kalara, looked at the scan with new understanding. Not an organism, not a parasite. A daughter. A person who would emerge from Lisa's body in 6 more months, ready to breathe and cry and learn about the world. "Explain to us how this works," Zarathus said. "How does a species evolve to reproduce this way?" Catherine leaned forward, her voice taking on the tone of a teacher. "Humans evolved on a planet with many predators. Our ancestors were small, vulnerable. They could not lay eggs and leave them unprotected. The eggs would be eaten. So our bodies adapted. We began keeping the eggs inside, protecting them with our own flesh and blood." Bex listened intently, his scientific curiosity overcoming his discomfort. "But the immune system, how does it not attack the developing child?" The human body creates a special organ called a placenta, Catherine explained. It acts as a barrier and a bridge between mother and child. It filters out harmful substances but allows nutrients and oxygen to pass through. The mother's immune system is carefully suppressed in that area, just enough to protect the baby, but not enough to make the mother vulnerable to disease. Remarkable, Vex whispered. The process takes 9 months, Catherine continued. During that time, the mother's body changes dramatically. She needs more food, more rest. Her organs shift position to make room for the growing child. Her heart works harder to pump blood for two. It is difficult, sometimes painful, and always demanding. Why would any species do this voluntarily? Zorathus asked. The cost is tremendous because the reward is greater, Catherine said simply. A human child born after 9 months of internal development is more advanced than hatchlings from eggs. Their brains are larger, more complex. They bond immediately with their mother because they already know her voice, her heartbeat, her movements. This gives human children a better chance of survival. Kalara thought about Xanthari eggs carefully tended in incubation chambers. The hatchlings emerged small and weak, needing months of intensive care before they could function independently. Human babies were born with advantages, shaped by their time inside their mother's body. What happens when the baby is ready to be born? Kalara asked. Catherine hesitated, then continued. The mother's body goes through labor. Strong contractions push the baby out through the birth canal. It is extremely painful and can be dangerous. Even with our medical technology, some mothers and babies die during birth. Zorathus felt a chill. Humans risked death every time they reproduced, yet they continued doing it, generation after generation. How many times can a human female do this? Vex asked. It varies, Catherine said. Some women have 1 child. Others have many. Margaret Sullivan, one of our delegation, has 5 children. She chose to go through pregnancy and birth 5 times. By choice, Kalara said. She was not forced or required. Never, Catherine said firmly. In our culture, reproduction is always a personal choice. We protect that right absolutely. Zorathus stood and walked to the examination table. He looked down at Lisa Morgan, seeing her with different eyes now. This woman had chosen to carry a child inside her body. She had accepted the risks, the discomfort, the physical toll, and she had celebrated it with permanent art on her skin. The tattoo, he said. It is important to her. Very important, Catherine confirmed. Many human mothers mark their bodies to celebrate their children. That tattoo shows the moment of connection, when mother and child are one. It is sacred to us. Sacred, Zorathus repeated. He understood religious concepts, spiritual beliefs, but he had never considered that reproduction itself could be sacred. Emperor Zorathus, Catherine said carefully. I understand this is disturbing to you. I understand it violates what you believe is natural and possible. But I ask you to see past the biology to the truth underneath. We are a species that loves our children so much that we carry them inside our hearts before they are even born. We protect them with our own bodies. We risk our lives to bring them into the world. Does that make us monsters or does that make us parents? The question hung in the air. Kalara felt tears form in her eyes, a rare response for Xanthari. She thought about her own mother, who had carefully tended her egg for months, watching over it with devotion. Human mothers did the same thing, but they carried their eggs inside themselves. It was not monstrous. It was beautiful in its own strange way. Father, Kalara said quietly, I think we need to see this differently. Zorathus looked at his daughter, then back at Catherine. You are asking me to accept something that contradicts everything I know about biology and nature. I am asking you to expand what you know, Catherine replied. The universe is stranger and more wonderful than any of us can imagine. Humans are just one example of that strangeness. But we are still people. We still deserve a place among the stars. Zorathus was silent for a long moment. Then he made his decision. Emperor Zorathus made his decision with the weight of his empire behind it. We will not quarantine you. We will not turn you away. But I need time to understand this fully. You will remain on the station as our guests while we study your biology and discuss the implications. Catherine's shoulders relaxed slightly. Thank you. That is more than we usually receive. But I want complete honesty from now on, Zorathus continued. No more hidden truths. If there are other aspects of human biology that might concern us, I want to know now. Catherine nodded. There is one more thing you should know. Human reproduction is not just biological. It is deeply emotional. The bond between mother and child begins during pregnancy. It shapes our entire society, our values, our understanding of love and sacrifice. Explain, Kalara said, leaning forward with interest. Catherine thought for a moment, choosing her words carefully. When a human woman is pregnant, she feels the baby move inside her. She hears its heartbeat. She talks to it, sings to it, even though it has not been born yet. By the time the baby arrives, the mother already knows it, already loves it. Vex looked puzzled. But the child cannot respond. It has no conscious thought yet. It does not matter, Catherine said. The connection is there. Human mothers often say they would die for their children. And they mean it literally. During pregnancy, a mother's body will sacrifice its own health to protect the baby. If there is not enough food, the baby gets fed first and the mother goes hungry. If there is danger, the mother's instincts scream at her to protect the child inside her above all else. This is why you were careful about revealing your biology, Zorathis said with sudden understanding. You knew others would see it as parasitic, but to humans it is the opposite. It is the ultimate act of love. Exactly, Catherine said. Our entire civilization is built on this foundation. We value protection of the vulnerable. We celebrate mothers. We create laws to ensure pregnant women are safe and supported. It defines who we are. Kalara felt her understanding deepen. The humans had not been deceptive. They had been protective of something sacred to them, waiting for the right moment to share it with those who might understand. Lisa stirred on the examination table, a soft moan escaping her lips. Catherine was on her feet instantly, moving to her side. Lisa's eyes fluttered open, confused and disoriented. Where am I? Lisa whispered. You are safe, Catherine said gently. You are in the medical bay. You collapsed during the tour. The baby. Lisa's hand moved to her stomach, protective and urgent. Is the baby okay? Catherine looked at Vex, who quickly checked the displays. The child is fine. Strong heartbeat, normal development. You just overdid it, pushed yourself too hard. Lisa relaxed slightly, tears forming in her eyes. I was so scared. I thought I had lost her. Kalara watched this exchange with fascination. Lisa's first concern was not for herself, but for the developing child inside her. The protective instinct was immediate and overwhelming. Her, Zorathis said. You know the child's gender already. Lisa looked at the Emperor, suddenly aware that she was surrounded by Zenthari. Her eyes widened as she took in the medical displays, the scans showing her internal anatomy, the tattoo on her back visible in the holographic images. You know, she said quietly. We know, Catherine confirmed. They discovered it while treating you. Lisa's face went pale. She looked at Zorathis with fear in her eyes. Are you going to separate me from my baby? Some species have tried to take pregnant humans for study. No, Zorathis said firmly. We will not harm you or your child. You have my word as Emperor. Lisa began to cry, relief and stress overwhelming her. Catherine held her hand, offering comfort. Kalara felt her own emotions stir. This human woman who had traveled so far from her home planet, who had risked her health to be part of this diplomatic mission, had been terrified that she would lose her child. How far along are you? Vex asked gently, his scientist curiosity tempered with newfound respect. 12 weeks, Lisa said, wiping her tears. 3 months. I have 6 more months before she is born. And you chose to come on this mission knowing you were pregnant? Kalara asked. Lisa nodded. Catherine needed people with diplomatic training. I am a cultural liaison specialist. I thought I could handle it. I just did not expect the stress to affect me so much. You should not have come, Zorathis said. The risk to you and your child was too great. Maybe, Lisa admitted. But this mission was too important. Humanity needs allies in the galaxy. We need friends who will accept us despite our differences. I wanted to help make that happen. Even at the cost of your own health, Vex said. Especially at that cost, Lisa replied. That is what mothers do. We sacrifice for the future we want our children to have. Kalara felt something shift inside her. She had been horrified by the biological reality of human reproduction. But seeing Lisa's devotion, hearing her willingness to risk herself for the sake of her species' future, transformed that horror into admiration. Your doctor needs to examine you, Catherine said to Lisa. Our equipment can monitor you, but she needs to make sure everything is progressing correctly. Bring the human doctor here, Zorathis ordered. She may use whatever equipment she needs. We will cooperate fully." A guard left to fetch the doctor. Lisa sat up slowly, still holding her stomach protectively. She looked at her tattoo displayed in the holographic scan and smiled slightly. "You think it is strange," she said to Kalara. "The tattoo. I thought it was strange," Kalara admitted. "Now I think it is beautiful. It shows how much you love your daughter even before she is born." Lisa's smile widened. "Exactly. This tattoo represents the most important thing I will ever do. Creating life, nurturing it, bringing a new person into the universe." The human doctor arrived, a woman named Patricia Cole. She carried a medical bag and looked nervous about being surrounded by Zenthari. Catherine quickly explained the situation, and Patricia relaxed slightly. "I need to do an ultrasound," Patricia said. "It uses sound waves to create an image of the baby. It will not hurt." Vex was fascinated. "Show us. We want to understand." Patricia set up her equipment, a portable device much smaller than the Zenthari medical scanners. She applied gel to Lisa's stomach and placed a probe against her skin. A screen lit up with a grainy black and white image. "There she is," Patricia said, pointing to shapes on the screen. "That is the head. Those are the arms and legs. See that flickering? That is the heartbeat." Kalara stared at the screen. The baby looked so small, so fragile, but she could see movement, tiny kicks and turns. The child was active, alive, growing. "She is beautiful," Kalara whispered. Lisa laughed, a sound of pure joy. "She is, isn't she?" My little girl, Zorathus, watched the screen with an expression of wonder. In that moment, the biology did not matter. The strangeness of internal gestation faded into the background. What remained was the simple truth that they were looking at a new life, carefully protected by her mother's body, waiting to enter the world. "What will you name her?" he asked. "Hope," Lisa said, "because that is what she represents. Hope for humanity's future among the stars." The name seemed perfect. Kylara looked at her father and saw that he was thinking the same thing. This child, this tiny human growing inside her mother, represented a bridge between species, a chance for understanding. "Emperor," Patricia said carefully, "Lisa needs rest, proper nutrition, and reduced stress. She should not have been traveling in her condition. Then she will stay here until the child is born," Zorathus decided. "We have excellent medical facilities. Dr. Vex and you will work together to ensure both mother and child are healthy." Patricia looked surprised. "You would do that for us?" "We would do that for Hope," Zorathus said. 6 months passed on the station and everything changed. Emperor Zorathus lifted the restrictions on the human delegation immediately after his decision. Catherine and her team were given comfortable quarters and full access to station facilities. But more importantly, they were given respect. Lisa Morgan remained on the station, carefully monitored by both Dr. Vex and Patricia Cole. The two doctors formed an unlikely partnership, sharing knowledge about human and Zenthari medicine. Vex learned about pregnancy complications, nutrition requirements, and the stages of fetal development. Patricia learned about Zenthari cellular regeneration, their immune system responses, and their egg incubation techniques. Princess Kalara spent hours with Lisa, learning about human culture through the lens of motherhood. Lisa showed her pictures of Earth, of families and children playing in parks. She explained baby showers and birth announcements, nursery decorations and lullabies. She shared the hopes and fears that every expectant mother carried. And slowly, Kalara began to understand that human reproduction was not just biology. It was culture, emotion, and connection woven together into something profound. The station crew grew accustomed to seeing Lisa in the corridors, her belly growing larger each month. At first, some Zenthari had stared with barely hidden discomfort. But as they watched her laugh with colleagues, work on diplomatic documents, and excitedly discuss her daughter's future, their discomfort faded. She was not a biological curiosity. She was a person, a mother, someone building a life for her child. Zorathus called a council meeting in the 4th month of Lisa's stay. He had invited representatives from several allied species to discuss the human situation. The room filled with diverse beings, some humanoid, others radically different in form. "I have asked you here to learn something new," Zorathus began, "something that will challenge your understanding of what is possible in nature." He explained human reproduction carefully, using medical data and Lisa's own testimony. He showed scans of fetal development, explained the placenta's function, and discussed the metabolic demands of pregnancy. He was honest about his initial horror and his growing acceptance. The representatives reacted as expected. Some showed shock and revulsion. Others demonstrated scientific curiosity. A few seemed indifferent, as if human biology was just another oddity in a strange universe. But one representative, an elderly female from the Karathi species, spoke with quiet authority. My people also reproduce internally. We thought we were alone in this. We have hidden our biology for centuries, fearing rejection. Silence filled the chamber. Zarathis leaned forward with interest. Tell us more. The Karathi representative, whose name was Elder Thessa, explained that her species carried their young in specialized pouches for several months after a brief external gestation. The young were born tiny and helpless, then completed their development inside the parent's body. We have been too afraid to reveal this, Thessa said. We have watched how others react to anything they consider parasitic or unnatural, but if the Zenthari Empire can accept humans, perhaps there is hope for us as well. Kalara felt excitement rise in her chest. How many other species were hiding similar secrets? How many different approaches to reproduction existed in the galaxy, unknown because everyone feared judgment? I propose we create a biological diversity council, Kalara said, a place where species can share their unique characteristics without fear of rejection or quarantine. We can learn from each other instead of hiding from each other. The representatives debated the idea. Some supported it enthusiastically. Others worried about the complications. But eventually they agreed to at least explore the possibility. After the meeting, Zarathis found Kalara standing by a viewport, looking out at the stars. His daughter had grown during these months, not just in wisdom but in confidence. She had faced her fear and found understanding on the other side. You have done well, he said simply. We all have, Kalara replied. Father, when I first saw Lisa's tattoo, I was terrified. I thought humans were monsters. But now I see that I was the one who needed to change. My understanding was too narrow, too limited by what I thought was normal. That is the mark of wisdom, Zarathis said, knowing when to expand your mind. Lisa went into labor in the 6th month, right on schedule according to human gestation. The station's medical bay transformed into a delivery room. Patricia led the medical team while Vex observed carefully, ready to assist if needed. Catherine stayed with Lisa, holding her hand through the contractions. Kalara asked permission to be present, and Lisa agreed. She wanted the princess to see the culmination of everything they had discussed, the moment when pregnancy became motherhood. Labor was difficult. Lisa's pain was obvious, her screams echoing through the medical bay. Kalara felt distressed watching her suffer, wanting to help but not knowing how. Patricia and Vex worked quickly, monitoring both mother and baby, making adjustments to ensure their safety. After hours of labor, a baby's cry filled the room. Patricia lifted the tiny infant, cleaning her quickly before placing her on Lisa's chest. The baby was red and wrinkled, covered in fluid, crying loudly. She was also the most beautiful thing Kalara had ever seen. Hello, Hope, Lisa whispered, tears streaming down her face. I've been waiting so long to meet you. The baby quieted at her mother's voice, recognizing it from months of hearing it from inside the womb. Lisa held her daughter close, and Kalara saw the bond that Catherine had described. Mother and child connected by more than biology, united by love that had begun before birth. Vex recorded everything with scientific precision, but even he seemed moved by the moment. Patricia completed the medical checks and confirmed that both mother and baby were healthy. She is perfect, Patricia said. Congratulations, Lisa. Catherine joined them, looking down at Hope with tears in her eyes. Welcome to the universe, little one. You have no idea how important you are. Kalara approached slowly, not wanting to intrude. Lisa smiled at her and adjusted the blanket around Hope. Would you like to hold her? She asked. Kalara felt nervous but nodded. Patricia showed her how to support the baby's head, how to cradle her safely. Then Lisa placed Hope in Kalara's arms. The baby was so small, so light. Her eyes were closed, her tiny fists curled against her chest. She smelled of new life, of possibility, of the future. Kalara looked down at this human child and felt something profound shift in her heart. This was not biology. This was miracle. I am honored to meet you, Hope, Kalara whispered. You are going to change the galaxy. News of Hope's birth spread quickly through the station and then through the Empire. The first human child born on a Zenthari station, became a symbol of cooperation and understanding. Species that had rejected humanity sent messages of congratulations. Scientists requested information about the successful birth. Diplomatic channels that had been closed suddenly opened. Sarathis held hope during a formal reception, the tiny baby sleeping peacefully in the Emperor's arms. He addressed the assembled crowd with pride. This child represents our future, not just humanity's future or the Xanthari's future, but the future of all species learning to accept each other's differences. Lisa remained on the station for 3 more months, recovering and caring for Hope. The Xanthari crew fell in love with the baby, bringing gifts and asking to hold her. Hope became the station's unofficial mascot, a reminder that differences could be bridges instead of walls. When it was time for Lisa to return to Earth, the goodbye was bittersweet. She had made a home on the station, had built friendships with beings from across the galaxy, but Earth called to her and she wanted Hope to know her homeworld. "Thank you," Lisa said to Kaylara, "for accepting us, for seeing past the biology to the people underneath." "Thank you," Kaylara replied, "for teaching me that the universe is more wonderful than I ever imagined." The human delegation departed with full trade agreements, cultural exchange programs, and most importantly, with friendship. The Xanthari Empire became humanity's strongest ally, helping them navigate first contact with other species, standing as proof that understanding could overcome fear. And Princess Kaylara kept a picture of Hope on her desk, a reminder of the day when a tattoo had frozen her in fear and a birth had set her free.